In this video, you'll see how to create a new sheet view in the project. You'll see how to place a detailed section view onto the new sheet, how to modify the properties of the detail view to make it better fit the sheet, and finally, how to modify the properties of the title block to create a finished drawing. A sheet view in Revit is used to publish a drawing. It contains a title block which defines the paper size and allows us to assign drawing number, title and other details. Model views are then placed onto the sheet to create the finished drawing ready for publishing and issuing to clients and contractors. I have the exercise file Place Detail on Sheet open, and we're looking at the floor junction detail view, and this view shows part of the 3D model and has detail components, lines, tags and text added to create the finished detail, and it's now ready to be placed on a sheet for publishing. So first, let's create the new sheet. So from the View ribbon tab on the Sheet Composition panel, we'll click on the Sheet tool. And now in the New Sheet settings, we can see that we have several title blocks available, and we have the A11 by 8.5 inch horizontal type selected, so we'll stick with this and click OK to create the new sheet. Now, looking in the project browser, under the Sheets group, we can see that we have the new sheet view here, and it's A102 and it's currently unnamed. And looking at the title block, we can see the number and the unnamed title reflected in the fields. So we'll rename this. So from the project browser, I'll right click and choose Rename, and we'll change its number to be D100, and then change its name to be Floor Junction Detail. And now we'll click OK, and we can see that that's updated in the project browser, and it's also reflected on the title block here as well. Now the title block does have bidirectional associativity, so to show this, if I select the title block and then click on the sheet number field here, we can edit this to be D101, and then once we finish this, we can see that that's updated in the project browser to match. So now we're ready to place a view onto the drawing sheet, and we have two ways of doing this. First, looking at the project browser in the sections group here, we can see we have the floor junction detail view, and this is the one that we will place on the sheet. Just next to its name, we can see we have a little icon here that indicates whether the view has been placed on a sheet. At the moment, the icon is white, meaning it has not been placed onto a sheet. So now we can select the view in the project browser here, and holding the mouse button down, we can drag it out into the view, and when we let go of the mouse, we can see we have that connected here, and we can just click to position it on the sheet. Now looking back at the project browser, we can see that that icon has now turned blue, and that lets us know that this view has been placed onto a drawing sheet. So to show the other way of placing views on, we'll first delete this view. With it selected in the view here, we'll go up to the Modify Viewports ribbon here, and then we'll just click Delete, and that will be deleted from the sheet, although the view itself is still available to us in the model. So looking at the project browser here, we can still see that view, and we can also see that the icon here has turned white again, as it's now no longer placed onto a sheet. The other method is to go to the View ribbon tab, and from the Sheet Composition panel here, we'll click Place View on Sheet. And now we have a list of views that are available to us to be placed on drawing sheets. So we'll select the Floor Junction Detail view, and then click Add View to Sheet. Once again, we can see that that's now attached to our cursor, so we can move it into position and then click to place it. And now looking in the project browser, we can see that the icon has turned blue again, indicating that it's now placed on a sheet. Looking at the view on the sheet here, we can see that it's slightly too large for the title block, and we need to modify the view to make it fit better onto the sheet. We could try to change the scale first to see if that suits. So with the view selected, we can go to the Properties palette here, and we can see that we have a parameter for view scale, and it's currently set to be 1.5 inch equals 1 foot. So we'll click on, and we'll choose 1 inch equals 1 foot. When we apply that, we can see that that view gets rescaled relative to the sheet. However, it looks a little bit too small, and I don't think that's going to suit our purpose. So I'll go back to the properties palette and we'll change the view scale back to 1.5 inch equals 1 foot. And looking at the detail view, I think we can adjust the cropping of the view so that it fits better onto the sheet. So first we'll need to activate the view. So with it selected, looking at the Modify Viewports ribbon tab, we can click Activate View. And now that view's active, we're working in the actual detail view itself. We don't have access to the title block anymore, and anything that we change in here will affect the floor junction view and potentially the model as well. So first we'll go to the Properties palette, and on the Extents panel here we'll select the Crop Region Visible option, and now we can see that visible in the view. On the view we can see we have two break lines here, one at the top and the bottom. So I'll select the one at the bottom here, and then from the Modify ribbon tab we'll click the Move tool. And then we can move this up by 1 foot. And now I'll select the one at the top and click on the Move tool again, and we'll move this one down by 3 inches. And now that we have those moved up, we can pick the crop region, and using the drag controls here we can just drag this up from the bottom and then also drag it down at the top here so that it fits the view a bit better. And now that we've got that finished, we'll turn off the crop region again. So in the Properties palette we'll unselect the Crop Region Visible option. And now that should fit on the sheet better, so we now need to deactivate the view. So we could move the cursor outside of the view and then double left click to deactivate it. Or I'll use the right click menu here and choose Deactivate on there. So now that's deactivated, we've got access back into the title block again. We just need to reposition the view, so I'll select it and then just drag it down so it fits better in the middle of the sheet. However, that has now moved the title down, so if I select that separately to the view, we can then drag that into position as well. And then I'll select the view itself, and we can then use the drag control here to drag the end of the line back closer to the text. And now the view fits nicely onto the title block. We just need to modify some of the properties here. So we need to change the date format. So I'll click on the title block here, and then we can click the date field, and then we'll just add 20 to make it 2022 here. We also need to update the drawn by and checked by parameters, and we could do that by clicking it here on the title block. But equally, if we go over to the Properties palette, we can see we have the drawn by parameter here, so I'll click in and change this. And now when we click Apply, we can see that those initials have been placed onto the drawing sheet. We also have the check by parameter here, so I'll update this too. Then click Apply once more, and we can see that those parameters are now updated on the title block. So that completes placing the view onto the sheet, and the sheet is now ready to be published.